It's a sensitive, delicate deal, dragging brand new songs out of the sky, trading ideas, accepting some, storing others in the maybe later bag, moving on and along with hardly a plan. During the Zepp years, I never imagined a full-scale album project without the other guys, and even less the idea of new writing partners. But then, since 1981, I've enjoyed many amazing, exciting musicians in the sharing, in the writing, in production and engineering. Men and women who encouraged and enlightened, introducing me to crazy curves I could never have imagined. For this podcast, I'm going to be picking out some songs from here and there along the way, mixing constant shifts in sound and intention from across this long old time. There's a story in all of them. I'm Robert Plant, and this is Digging Deep.
Welcome to another episode of Digging Deep with me, your host, Matt Everitt, and more importantly, Robert Plant. If you're a new listener, nice to have you on board. If you're a subscriber already, welcome back. The raison d'etre of this podcast is to offer you a guide to some of Robert's music with Robert himself as your guide. Each week we cover a song chosen by Robert and we talk about its creation and its inspiration. Often veer all over the shop subject-wise, but that's the kind of song you love to do. We talk about a song. Some of these songs are massive, world-straddling classics. Some are underground gems. Some come from way back when, and some have only just been released. The source of this week's song is Robert's 7th solo studio album, Dreamland, which was released in 2002 and recorded with his band Strange Sensation. The song is called Last Time I Saw Her, one of only a couple of original tunes on that record, which was made up mainly of covers. But we're looking not at the original version, but in fact the remix that was done of the track.
Last time I saw her, she was running. Yeah, it's that song again. Yeah.
So the original version was on Dreamland, which was 2002, and it's only one of a couple of originals on Dreamland.
Yeah. Strange Sensation were pulled together thanks to Charlie Jones. Again, extraordinary bass player who, living down by Bristol and coming from down there, was cool with and hanging a lot with John Baggott, who was working with Massive Attack and Portishead. And, the whole deal down there was really vital musically. And I'd been working with this group called the Priory of Brian, and it had run out of steam. And it certainly had run out of steam. The final gig, I think, I played at the Walls restaurant in Oswald Street and brought the gear in through the fire escape while people were having strawberries and cream.
That's going to keep your ego in check, that, innit?
Well, I did it on purpose because I just wanted to make sure that I could just sing Wondrous Place by Billy Fury one more time, and so there were some dates to honour. I mean, that's what happens really with the Yardbirds and Led Zeppelin, was there were gigs from the Yardbirds that needed to be honoured. So we went to Sweden and we were the new Yardbirds. So in this case, we went to Sweden and we were Strange Sensation instead of the Priory of Brian. We hadn't even begun really writing. We just got these songs that everybody wanted to play. And we had Paul come along from The Cure. He was looking for clues and it was really good. I mean, it was great. It was just so good. Justin Adams on guitar, and the rhythm section was out of this world. It was really great. So let's write a song too. I think we were in Tallinn or somewhere in Estonia, and we rented a studio, a little tiny place, and just started writing. And this track arrived, and I don't know what label it was on, but whatever it was, there was that usual desperation of we got to get on the radio. So what should it sound like?
Because it goes off, this tune. You do that thing where your voice is sometimes really quite intimate, and other times it is an instrument. You're the sound of your voice, and then it's flying off. There's noises everywhere. It's got that real sort of improvisational kind of joy to it. It's quite it's not an easy one to wrestle into a small box, this tune.
No, and there's a lot of songs like that throughout my whole adventures. There's a lot of people got hold of remixes. Uncle, people like David Holmes, one of my heroes. He got a hold of something. I mean, there's a lot of those things around, which are great. And on some of the records that further on down the line, Steve, who was engineering Mighty Rearranger and stuff, there was some crazy shit. But this was the first crazy shit, really. And somebody at the label, I think it was Universal, because I think Doug Morris had said, you've had your time with Warners now and Armit and all that. You need to come over. You can do anything you want to do. Whatever you want to do, just do it and we'll make it big. Well, that's exactly what they didn't do. But why should they? They're a label. So, I'm still waiting to have a contract for some of the records I've made. And I thought that all ended when they put people in jail for less, for Roulette Records in the early 60s. But, so they took the master and gave it off into the outer space, and that's what we get. But I really feel good about it because, again, it's the vitality. So the engineer, producer, and the overdubs and so on, the whole thing arrived as one piece, a bit like what I do with Alison. It arrives in one form, but in this case, they can take the whole thing as a 24-track recording or whatever it was on tape then, and just extend bits, fly bits in, and it's an adventure. I think it did the song a favour.
First time I touched her, she was burning through a heat, the everlasting light, drifting through the thoughts, my ceaseless yearning, flaming on, you burn all night. Hey.
Interesting thing, isn't it? Because songs have you've got to, on the one hand, be precious about them. They're the capturing of a moment. There's something.
Yeah,
it's the way that the musicians and artists and producers wanted it to be, but also, that's just how it was that day. You've also got to be able to totally let go of it, I think, and have the bravery to go, it could be anything else. Off you go.
Yeah, and of course, the sort of from the world of Smashing Pumpkins and Jack White and all that, you have this early spin on what some artists go to a producer from the get-go and they're transformed from the minute they walk into the session. In this case, it's a retrospective thing, and it's better for it, for me, because I can hear it as I heard it, and then I can hear it when somebody else applies all those tricks that they were de rigueur at the time. They were there, being used on other. It's like God forbid the vocoder. I mean.
Have you ever tried a vocoder?
No, but I remember last time I was in southern Morocco, and I was driving along with my youngest kid, Jesse Lee. He just passed his driving test, and we were somewhere down by Zagora and south of the Atlas Mountains, and heading east towards Mazuga with the giant sand dunes of North Africa. And I said, "It's time for you to drive now." He said, "But it's the wrong side of the road." I said, "Don't worry about that. You won't see another car for about 3 hours," until this great juggernaut came towards us. And you have to get halfway off the road, both sides. So you hit the gravel. You got your fist on the screen in case the screen shatters. And an 18-year-old kid driving this thing. And put the radio on for some Berber music, beautiful Berber music. And sure enough, it's a Berber share. warbling, and it's like, whoa, the truck's coming towards us. His hands are leaking like a watering can with sweat. We got a Berber woman sounding like Cher, and it's only 11 o'clock in the morning. It's great.
This is how we're going to go.
Yeah, but that's fine. I'm happy to be dehumanized. I think I already am. So, in some respects, you've got to have the right kind of schmaltz, song-wise, to throttle the idea of it in the first place. But yeah, production and throwing tracks out to people to see how they get on. Some of those things that came back were dire. There's a Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You remix somewhere that somebody did for a laugh. And all the way through, it's just, babe, babe. And then you get a bit of stuff going on and then some more, babe, babe. But that takes a sense of humour. The Slog was another one I remember. I've got a 45 of a Black Dog thing. Yeah. I mean, it's great to deconstruct stuff. It's quite exposing as well. I quite like that. You know, I mean, you take all the glitz away and you've got some guy trying to do his best. I like that.
First time I kissed, I surrendered. Hands reach for the skies, no disgrace. Safe inside my love, so warm and tender. Move, little mama, look at your place. Oh.
That was the remix of Robert Plant's 2002 track Last Time I Saw Her, and that was this week's episode of Digging Deep with Robert Plant. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode, and don't forget you can hear previous episodes on your podcast provider too. If you're listening to this show in 2022, don't forget you can see Robert and Alison Krauss live, touring extensively throughout the US, UK and Europe from June all the way through to September. If you're listening to this in 2024, what's it like? What's happened? Are we still around? Let me know. Oh, you can't, because it's the future. Okay. We hope you enjoyed the show again. Thank you so much for listening. We love doing this show and we appreciate you subscribing. So thank you again. I've been Matt Everitt. Thanks for listening. This has been a Cup and Nuzzle production. Alexa, play Last Time I Saw Her by Robert Plant.